These are 10 makeup hacks that every girl should know. I'm gonna go through them step by step, and by the end of this video, you're gonna see an entire look which was made up of hacks. So let's go. Now, I already have my skincare on. I have primer on as well, but the first hack that I'm gonna show you is pretty insane. Some of these are like so new, so I don't even know whether you actually have ever heard of them or you've done them, but I'm excited to share them with you. So first off, we're gonna be using a setting spray. So like I said, I've got my skincare on, I've got my primer on. Now I'm gonna go in with a setting spray, but not any setting spray. We're going in with the One Size Until Dawn Mattifying Waterproof Setting Spray. This is gonna be our kind of second primer layer. So the primer that I applied before I've even touched this one was my normal primer, which was my Laura Mercier one. And that is literally there to create a kind of barrier between this and my skincare. This is the ultimate primer for my foundation. I've got my skincare on. I'm now gonna apply this specific setting spray all over my face. This is gonna be an amazing base for my foundation. So I'm just gonna spray this. I literally can't talk because it's just in my mouth. I've sprayed that everywhere and we're just gonna let that dry off. It dries off pretty quick, to be honest. This is gonna be like a perfectly smooth kind of base ready for our foundation. So this is gonna like help to keep everything locked in, but it's also gonna create a really, really ultra smooth base. So it's great for like textured skin. It just smooths everything out. Plus, your foundation is gonna last for ages. Next, we're gonna apply foundation. Now, this hack is spraying your beauty blender with a setting spray as well. So we're kind of doubling up with the setting spray, but this setting spray is my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. This is gonna work way better on my beauty blender. So all I'm gonna do is just soak my beauty blender so that it's nicely kind of covered in the setting spray. I like to kind of wrap it in a tissue just to make sure there's no excess product on it. Now you're gonna take your foundation. I'm using my NARS Light Reflecting Foundation in Barcelona. I've got 2 small pumps on the back of my hand. You're gonna now buff it in to the beauty blender. And now we're gonna create a nice veil of color all over the skin. And that setting spray that we applied the first time round is gonna work as the perfect base. And the setting spray on this beauty blender is gonna work to just give you that ease of application and just blend everything in really well. So you're gonna see literally my skin transform from what it currently is, which is quite patchy, dark red, and we're just gonna give it this really nice flawless finish. I'm gonna stop for a second because I really want you to see the difference. I've got foundation on this side, the smallest amount. I still have probably around a whole pump left on the back of my hand. This is how it looks after prepping my skin the way that we did with those 2 hacks. As you can see, a huge difference. Like already I feel like I'm not really gonna need much concealer after this. As you can see, this gives you the most flawless finish and we haven't even gone into concealer yet. So hopefully this hack has shown you exactly how you can get the smoothest finish even if you have textured skin. Okay, I'm just gonna apply some concealer just to my lids to get them out of the way. So let's just get that done. And then let's just set them. I'm actually using a different setting powder today. I'm using my Laura Mercier translucent one, but this one is like the Ultra-blur. I had to check that. So I don't know what's so different about this powder, but we'll see. I don't usually use Laura Mercier, so I am quite interested to see how this looks. Plus they sent me like a new powder puff, which I so needed. Okay, I'm just gonna dust that off. I really won't be able to see the full effect of this powder until I've applied it all over, so I will give you my honest review maybe in an upcoming video. Okay, so the next hack is using your concealer. Now we're gonna apply our concealer as normal. I'm gonna use my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in Ginger. This is a great hack if you don't wanna use a full coverage concealer, you don't want a cakey finish, but you do want great coverage. You're gonna apply your concealer as you usually do. I'm just gonna apply it in the areas that I usually apply it. What you're gonna do is let this marinate, and what that means is you're just gonna let it set. Not fully set, you are gonna use a beauty blender and some setting spray, wrap a tissue around it just to absorb the excess setting spray. And now that we've let it set for a little bit, we're gonna start blending it in. And you wanna keep the sponge where it is, you wanna keep the sponge where the concealer is, and then just blend this in. You're gonna find that you get the most amazing coverage just by allowing the concealer to self-set just a little bit before you start blending. There you go. What usually happens is you apply your concealer, you go in straight away with a beauty blender, and then everything starts moving around because maybe the concealer is just a little bit too fluid. Whereas this way, you've allowed it to set for a little bit, which just kind of like keeps it in place and gives you the coverage you need without having to actually apply more concealer. So as you can see, this has covered up my under eye dark circles nicely. If I had not waited for this to self-set a little bit, it would be all over the place and I'd probably end up applying more concealer. Okay, so whatever's left of my foundation on the back of my hand, I'm just gonna like take that over these areas that I've applied concealer. If any of you guys usually use NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, you know that the coverage isn't like so amazing. It does end up kind of like slipping all over the place. And I do feel like it's one of those concealers that although it is a good concealer, it's a good texture, I do like it, but I do feel like most of the time if I'm applying it and I don't allow it to self-set a little bit, I do have to go in with more product and then I'm just like piling it on, which I really don't want to do. I honestly cannot wait for you to try this whole applying your primer on first and then applying your foundation and then applying primer too. There's just so many different hacks here that I'm showing you and they all make such a big difference when it comes to your base. So now we're going to be setting everything that we've done. This hack is the best possible way to set your foundation. It's not going to go anywhere, it's not going to look cakey, and there's a very specific way to do this, as well as a very specific product. So I'm using my Laura Mercier Translucent Ultra-blur powder. Not too sure what makes this ultra blur. It's the first time I'm using it, so I'm gonna let you know what I really think. And then a product that I literally cannot live without. Finally, I have a new one, the Laura Mercier Powder Puff. It is literally, hands down, the best powder puff you are ever gonna use to apply your powder. Now, what you wanna do is prime this powder puff. You don't wanna go straight into the powder and then straight onto the skin. That's where you go wrong because you'll end up making your face look cakey. There'll be way too much powder on your skin and you really don't need that much. So we're gonna press into this powder. We're gonna swirl it around. We're then gonna go into the palm of the hand and we're just gonna swirl it around again. And all that's doing is really making sure that powder just sets right into that sponge. So now we don't have like a whole load of powder in certain areas of this sponge. We're now going to set the under eyes, but before we do that, you want to get rid of any creasing that would have developed, which they definitely would have developed because all of the expressions that you make just lead to that kind of product sitting in the lines on the under eye. So we're going to take out all that product. Now we're going to go in to the under eye and we're going to just press this powder in. Now, when you apply your powder, you shouldn't see a whole load of powder there. You know, sometimes you see people baking their faces and you just see all this powder everywhere. You really don't need that much. So as you can see, you can't see what I've applied, but there is powder there. I can see it. It's like very subtle. And we're just gonna go over there again. Do the same on the other side. So you want to make sure you're really getting rid of any excess product and just pushing that powder into the powder puff. Now I like to go on the sides of the nose because it really just ensures that everything stays put there. We're also going to press this in on any other areas that we get creasing. So that for me is probably my smile lines. And that's it. Now I'm going to leave it and I'm going to get a brush. You can get a large powder brush. I'm going to use my Hourglass Veil brush because it's just the right size. I'm going to dip into this powder and then into the palm of my hand. So we're kind of doing the same thing. And then now we're just going to press over the rest of the face. Because you really don't need to set the entire face, especially if you want more of a healthy kind of skin look. Now you want to get a smaller brush. We're going to get the Real Technique setting brush because it's the perfect brush for the under eyes. There's nothing on this brush. We're just going to dust away any powder that is on the under eyes. And that is the best way to set your makeup with powder. You can thank me later. I know all these tricks are going to be just so useful to you. I'm so excited for you to like infuse them into your normal makeup routine. Okay, so this next hack is honestly so easy and I don't know why more people don't do it, but it is literally your bronzer and your contour all in one, and it's literally using a bronzer. You don't have to use a separate contour. I honestly, can I just say, I cannot stand it when I get these comments sometimes from some random people who clearly are only here to say something negative. Like, just, this is not a negative place. We are a nice community of people who support one another. We don't need negative people here. But it annoys me when I see people who say stuff like, oh, yeah, but that's not what bronzer's for, or that's not what contour's for, or that's not where the sun really hits you on your face. Like, seriously, you don't need to be so critical of it. What happened to there are no rules when it comes to makeup? What happened to that? Because honestly, if a brand tells you you can only use this powder for your eyes, you cannot use it anywhere else, are you going to listen to that? No, because if it can be used on the eyes, it can be used anywhere, because it's not something which only the eye area would work well with it and everywhere else would become irritated. It doesn't work like that. So most of the powders that are being used, especially when they're face powders, are powders that can work on skin generally. Obviously, you don't want to go anywhere too close to the eye area, like you're not going to do that anyway. But you can use these powders for different things. Just because someone writes a label on it doesn't mean that's what it has to be used for. I could talk about this all day, but we're just gonna move on with the hack. So you wanna get a brush which is a kind of medium-sized dome brush, and I feel like the Hourglass Veil brush is always an amazing brush because it's dual-ended, both sides are usable, so you're not gonna end up only using one side. The smaller side is perfect for like cheekbone chiseling. So we're gonna use this bronzer, which is my Fenty Beauty Island Ting Sunstalk'r, or Fenty Beauty Sunstalk'r bronzer in Island Ting, and we're going to dip into this. Now this honestly is your easiest way to get that sun-kissed look, but also get that nice sculpted look, because realistically, if you apply bronzer all over, which you can, but I'm not saying you can't do that, you can, that's fine. But I'm saying if you really don't want to use a bronzer and a contour separate, you can do it all in one with this. It's honestly, I've been doing it for years. No one's ever looked at me and said, oh my God, I can see you've used bronzer as contour, how dare you do that? Like, no one's gonna do that, seriously, come on. I don't even know how or why I even have to explain this, but I guess it's because people have like brands have just fed, there's so much like misinformation online, and unfortunately, some people go with it, and it just, honestly, everything is transparent here. So you can trust me when I'm telling you what works and what doesn't work. We're gonna go towards the top of the ear, and we're just gonna buff it in. We're just gonna like press it into the skin. And you're gonna see this color is gonna give us some shape to our face. So it is gonna help to just make the cheekbone stand out a bit, which as you can see is already happening, right? You can go back and forth if you want. It's whatever kind of feels more natural to you. The main thing is making sure that you don't press too hard. It's skimming the skin, so it's not pressing too hard on. You should not really press it. It should just be the outer part of the bristles that touch your skin, and that you're not using too much powder. And now we're going into the hairline, which is ultimately going to help to slim the face because we're going to do it on both sides. So right here, look at that, we've got that nice cheekbone there, so it has sculpted the face. But then here you can see there's not much sculpting there because we've not applied anything there. But here you can see that we've got that warmth to the face as well because of the color that we've used. This isn't going to look gray in any light. So that's that's like the pro of using a bronzer as your sculpting product, you know? So let's do the same thing here. So we're just kind of going from the top of the ear and then going in towards the upper lip, but never really going all the way in. And then along the hairline. And if you really want to do the jawline too, go beneath the jawline there. And that's really going to sharpen your jawline, which again, with a bronzer, it still does do that. I mean, look at that. I've used a bronzer. I feel like I've sculpted my face and I've added some warmth there and it's worked. I'm happy. So honestly, you can use a bronzer as your sculpting product. You don't have to use both products separately. It is just about picking the right shade. So make sure if you are going to use something for sculpting and like for bronzing, make sure it is a product which is matte, because if you use a bronzer with shimmer in there, it's kind of defeating the purpose of contouring and sculpting, because you don't want any shimmer where you're trying to create shadow. You need it to be matte in order to ensure that when the light hits, there's nothing to bounce off of. If you have shimmer in a product, light bounces off of those pigments and then it's kind of, well, you just don't want that. You want it to be completely matte. I'm going to show you something. I'm using my 200 brush from Fenty, same bronzer, and I'm also going to use this same bronzer to sculpt my nose, to contour my nose. And I've been doing this, guys, for years. I've never had a problem using bronzer on my nose for sculpting. And by the way, when I have actually used actual contour products, which always tend to be too gray, they look ridiculous, because in certain lights it looks fine, it looks good, it looks like an actual shadow. But then in certain lights where you can see everything, it looks so bad. So I actually personally feel that bronzer is a much better option. There you go. Okay, I love this hack. This hack is amazing for opening up your eyes and making you look awake, especially when you look tired. And if you're one of those people who, when you don't wear eyeliner, you always feel like you look tired or sick, because that's what people tell you, because people are just rude, then this is going to be amazing for you, because this is something you can do to really open up your eyes, just brighten them up without looking like you've gone and done a whole load, like a whole eyeshadow look. So we're going to get a brush. You're going to want to use a fluff brush, anything that like fits the eye area well. This is the BK Beauty 202 brush. I'm using my Makeup by Mario Neutrals, Master Mattes, the Neutrals palette, and I'm using shade 3. And then I've gone into it, I'm gonna dab onto the back of a tissue now so there's not too much product. Let me just coat it properly, pat it onto the tissue. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the inner corner, but the upper eyelid. So I'm not going right into the inner corner, I'm like going onto the inner part of the upper lid. And it's so subtle, but it really does work. I can already see that. Can you guys see that? I really hope you can see that, because it really is an amazing difference that it makes. I'll do one eye before I do the other. And you're going to do the same here, but you're going to go along the lower part of the lash line on the inner part of it. There you go. And then you can go on to the actual inner corner. You don't want to use a small brush for this, because you actually don't want that whole tiny dot. You want this to be quite spread out, and it really helps to kind of just open up the whole eye area. Like immediately that looks fresher to me. So we're gonna do the other side. Again, upper inner part of the eyelid, and then same thing here, and there you go. Okay, I'm very quickly gonna just do my lips, because there are certain things that I want to show you. So I'm just using my Charlotte Tilbury lip sheet in Iconic Nude. Okay, I'm just using my Rare Beauty Lip Souffle in Brave. Okay, let's move on to the rest of the face now. Okay, this is literally the easiest eye look ever. So I'm gonna use an eye pencil. I'm using my Laura Mercier Caviar Stick Eye Color in Strapless. And this has got like a slight sheen to it. So what you wanna do is apply this just to the upper lash line, but only in the middle. Doesn't matter if it's messy because it's really easy to do. Use your finger to just kind of press it in. You're kind of pressing and flicking. You can add more if you want. It's so easy to do and it's very subtle, but it's something. You know when you just want something there, but you also don't want it to look like you've spent ages doing it? Then you're gonna curl your lashes. So that right there was the hack, applying it to the upper lash line right in the center, and it's got to be a shimmer. It is a massive, like, it makes a massive difference to your eyes, but it's so simple to do. You don't need to worry about applying eyeshadow. I hear so many people saying, oh my God, I don't know how to apply eyeshadow. It does not matter. You don't have to know how to blend, how to apply it, where to apply it. Literally, if that's all you want to do, like if you just want to be able to wear nice colors on the eyes and you want to be able to look like you've put a little bit of effort in, but you know, it's very subtle and effortless, if that makes sense. You want to use a shimmer. So always use a shimmer because it's much easier for beginners and people who don't really know much when it comes to eyeshadow and blending and placement. Use a shimmer, something which is like got a slight sheen to it. Pencils are great, like the Laura Mercier Caviar sticks are amazing. Make sure the ones with the shimmer are the ones that you use, or the Charlotte Tilbury kind of Eyes to Mesmerize cream eyeshadows are great as well. They have slight shimmer in there, super easy to use. You don't even need to worry about powder. I wouldn't even use powder. I would just use either eye pencils or eye creams, like cream eyeshadows, and that's enough. It's the easiest eyeshadow hack ever. Apply any mascara. My personal favorite is the Hourglass Unlocked mascara. I had a few comments about why I love this. Let me just explain why I love this mascara so much. It's a tubing mascara, and basically what that is something, it's the formula wraps each lash. It lengthens my lashes. It stays lengthened all day, so it doesn't like all of a sudden drop flat throughout the day. It's not clumpy. It's waterproof, but when I remove it, it glides off. It's almost like a rubber coating on my lashes, so you won't ever find it running, any black smudges anywhere. It's almost like it's like a latex cover for my lashes, but yeah, it's great. Don't forget that everything is listed in my description with all of the discount codes, so you might want to head on over. Okay, I'm just very quickly going to add a little bit of a flick to my eye look because then I want to show you another hack. I'm going to apply a brown pencil. I'm going to add a little dot right to the end of my lash line. I'm not too worried about whether it's messy. It's just like a little dot or a little dash. If your lash line naturally droops down and you want a more lifted look, then apply the dot a little bit further in on the upper lash line. You don't need to go all the way down to the end of the lash line. Then you want to get an ultra fine brush. I'm using my Sigma E06 brush. There's nothing on this brush. And now we're just gonna drag very lightly upwards. So I'm just skimming the skin. I'm not pressing too hard. Can you see now we've got that perfect ultra fine wing? We're going to do that again, just a little dot there. And then we're going to skim this over and drag it upwards and outwards. There you go. It's honestly so quick and so easy. I mean, you could really class that as another hack. I am just going to thicken that a little bit because I want to show you something. So I'm kind of like messing it up a little bit just because I want to show you something. Okay, so I've thickened that wing. I quite like it at the top, but it's a little bit messy at the ends. This is a great hack. You want to get an opaque concealer and a lip brush. You can get any lip brush and any concealer. I'm using my NARS Soft Matte. I'm going to take a little bit and just put it on the back of my hand. Then I'm going to coat this lip brush with that concealer. And then just take the excess off like that. So I'm squeezing the lip liner so that it becomes a little bit tighter and just not so kind of bristled out, if that makes sense. This is where I can clean up any mistakes that I've got on the face. So I know that my eyeliner is just a little bit, well, not thick, but it's a little bit messy from underneath. So what I'm gonna do is use the tip of this to just clean up the under part of that eyeliner. And then you can keep going back into that concealer and then taking it off like that and doing the same thing in other areas. This is great if you feel like your flick is a little bit too low, or maybe one of them is going in a different direction to the other. So you can kind of like balance them out and just get them back to how you want it. Another place I love using this trick is around the lip line, because sometimes the lip line can look a little bit overly messy, or maybe I've drawn outside my natural lip line a little bit too far. So I just use this to clean it up. Sometimes you don't realize how much of a big difference it actually makes until you've done it. Like, look, it already looks so much cleaner. To me anyway, because I feel like sometimes you see some like blurred edges or messiness that maybe others won't see, but you see it yourself. I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to this stuff. So for me, it's great because I know I can just clean up little things, especially when I know I've rushed through my look a little bit. It's a great hack for you to use. I am going to put a little bit of gloss because it's going to help with another hack. This is a great hack to just infuse that nice, healthy look back into your skin, because sometimes we go full force with the with the matte look, and you kind of lose the kind of glow and that healthy, oh my God, so bad. I said healthy as opposed to healthy. That happens to me a lot, by the way. So you end up kind of losing that healthy look in your skin. And this is a really easy hack to just bring it back in. All of a sudden, your face will just look so much healthier, look like, oh my God, she's glowing. And it's such a quick, easy trick that you can do. This is literally the OG when it comes to liquid highlighters. I don't care what anyone else says. This will forever be my favorite. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter in number 5. I'm gonna apply this to the back of my hand. I've got a sponge. I'm gonna just press it into this liquid highlighter. And I'm just gonna press this along the peaks of my cheekbones. It's a really quick way to just give your skin that healthy glow if you've done a matte kind of finish to your base so that it will last all day. Like, immediately you can see that glow coming through, and it's in all the right places, so you don't have to like apply it everywhere. I like to kind of like miss out this section here because that's where I have more texture. So I kind of like focus on the peaks of the cheekbones up here, which is where I have less texture. So if it is a little bit shiny or glowy, it's not going to enhance any texture that I have. You can go on the tip of the nose if you want, on the cheek, on the chin if you want, just anywhere where you want it to look a little bit more healthy. So there you go. We've gone from completely matte to now adding a little bit of a glow. So anywhere you apply it is gonna just help to kind of, just to infuse that kind of, look at that glow. That glow is amazing. I love this stuff. It still is my favorite. I don't care who brings out what, that is my favorite. I love this hack. Cannot wait to show you this next one. This is an amazing hack to just kind of like add that glam sparkle to your lip without it being full force. Like, I don't like makeup to look overdone. Some of you might think I'm nowhere near overdone. Some of you might think I am overdone, but it's whatever makes you happy. This kind of gives that ultra glam yet subtle look, so it's not in your face, but there's something there. You want a sparkly or shimmery eyeshadow which doesn't have much kind of color, so go for like something with a gold or bronzy base. It depends on your skin tone as well. I'm gonna go for this color here, which is number 6 in the Makeup by Mario Moonlight palette. I've got it on the tip of my finger, and I've got some gloss on my lips, which is looking a bit much to me, so I'm just gonna blot that off. Now what you wanna do is just apply it to the tips, like the peak of your lip at the top. Just a little bit. That's it. It's so subtle. There's honestly the smallest amount that we've applied, but it's enough that when you move in certain kind of like in certain lights, it's gonna just sparkle a little bit, and it does actually help to make your lips look a little bit bigger. So that's like a really easy, quick tip for you. Yeah, this is honestly one of my favorites because I just feel like it's so easy to do. It's one of those ones, you know, when people look at you and they're like, you've had something done, but I don't know what. It's like that. It's that kind of thing where you're like, what have you done with your makeup? I can't tell. Doesn't look heavier, but it looks good. It's one of those things. Okay, so guys, those are my 10 hacks. Can you believe it? Amazing hacks for you. So happy that I'm able to share this with you. I kind of really sat down and thought about this, like, what do I do? What do I add? What can I I want to put the ultimate 10 hacks together. And this is it. This is my full 10 hacks, which I think are the most wearable ones and are really actually things that could make your makeup life much easier and just look nicer, you know? So hopefully you've enjoyed this. Don't forget, everything is listed in my description. All the discount codes are there too. I do have an online publication called the Beauty Breakfast Club. Would love to see you there. We're really changing it up this year, so I'm super excited about it. We've got kind of like regular features that we're doing every week. We've got like the breakfast table chat. We've got the breakfast menu, so like curated beauty items for you, which you guys are gonna love. Like there's some really fun stuff, and I'd love you to join that community over there. You're gonna learn tips and tricks. You're gonna get the best products, reviews, everything when it first comes out. I want you guys to head on over there and show your support, and I just want you to be part of the community because I love seeing you guys here, but I'd love to see you guys there too. Don't forget, there are 2 options for subscription. One is free, which gives you access to most of the site. The other is paid, which means you get access to the entire site. So extra newsletters every week just for you, a chat room for me and you, and extra perks. So, and also, by the way, that is the equivalent of getting yourself a coffee a month. It's literally that's it. It's not like, it's not a crazy like amount that you're paying. So I'd want to see you over there. I have a YouTube channel, which is primarily my podcast channel that I host with my husband, and it's called Minding Our Business. Very real, authentic. Would love to see you over there too. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Until the next video, take care, and I'll see you soon.